Today, finally, we get back to Teen Titans reviews with a big one for Cyborg's character arc this season, and a furthering of the overall plot of the season, with the whole Brother Blood and the Hive thing. This is Wavelength, an episode which also introduces one of my favorite minor characters of the series. But that's something we'll talk about in a little while. First off, the episode starts out with this Aqualad-shaped figure lumbering Aqualadishly up towards Titan's Tower Island from the ocean, triggering the tower's defense system and putting all the Titans on high alert, only for it to be revealed, surprisingly enough, that it's actually Aqualad, come to ask them for help, because it turns out that the Hive has set up another Hive Academy base under the ocean this time, and what's even worse is that when Cyborg hacked their systems back during his infiltration of that group, they hacked him back and have all of his blueprints and access to all of his technology, and now they've used his technology on a larger scale to build a good old-fashioned tsunami machine, like a good old-fashioned Bond villain style, comic book villain style tsunami machine, like something you'd see out of the Silver Age or something. And it's glorious. And so now the Titans must team up with Aqualad, who Brother Blood has prepared for thoroughly, blocking his ability to communicate telepathically with the sea life in the area, to get inside and destroy this device. And of course, Cyborg wants to take charge of the mission, but Robin, reasonably I think, worries that he'll make the wrong choices since he's so close to this, and so remains in charge, assigning Cyborg to go after the device itself, while Beast Boy and Aqualad, because, you know, they're the best of friends, go after the force field around the device, and the others go after Brother Blood himself. With the exception of Beast Boy, who swims alongside Aqualad in one of his sea life forms, the Titans decide to take the T-Sub to their destination. And I gotta say, I hope they remember to retrofit that thing to be seaworthy again, since that one time when they took it into space somehow, because those aren't the same thing. A thing built for one of those things is not going to be built for the other of those things. One is all of the pressure, and one is none of the pressure. One is liquid, and the other is nothing. Like, I know that Star Trek Beyond, the sequel to the 2009 Star Trek movie reboot, tried to convince you otherwise, but spaceships are not submarines. But they don't die immediately upon entry into the water, so I guess they did remember, they just forgot to tell us. Once they get there, though, Brother Blood is thoroughly prepared for them. He's even got a mind-controlled cybernetic squid outfitted with Cyborg's technology ready to destroy the T-Sub. Luckily, though, the other Titans are able to evacuate from it, and they're scooped up by Beast Boy in whale form, but, I mean, they're already dead at this point, obviously. Like, maybe not Starfire, and maybe not Cyborg, and maybe not Raven, if she put up, like, a barrier around herself that we just couldn't see for some reason, but Robin's definitely dead. Because remember, all of the pressure, but I guess he has some sort of invisible anti-depth pressure force field generator on his utility belt next to the bat shark repellent, which is obviously the reason why Brother Blood went with a squid and not a shark to attack them, because he does not get popped like a grape, and Beast Boy is able to convey him and the others into Brother Blood's facility so that they can complete their mission. Cyborg goes off on his own, and the others remain behind to pepper the rest of the episode with little bits of flavor as they fight nameless, faceless Hive henchmen. Of course, playing it for comedy until the last moment, because one of the true joys of this show is that they can play anything for comedy, with only a few exceptions. We do see, though, that Brother Blood seems to have a new right hand, a character who was in the background of the previous Hive Academy episode, named Bumblebee, and as he is seemingly prepared for anything, he is able to predict that Cyborg will separate from the rest and go after the device, and is able to therefore convey him to an arena and pit him against Bumblebee, and the two of them fight, and it's a really good fight. A very well done fight. Bumblebee is very skilled, more so than Cyborg, I guess, or maybe his head just wasn't in the game, because she wins outright. And I just gotta say, This is the character I was talking about. The minor character who is one of my favorites in the entire show. I like Bumblebee a lot. She's basically Sassy the Wasp, for those of you plebeians who are only familiar with Marvel stuff, given the prominence of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But there's more to her than that. There's a depth to her beyond that. Like, her power set is the same, but she's a very different person, and I like her a lot. She has a lot of character. She is, of course, as I mentioned, sassy. But she's also kind of teasing, very confrontational in a good-spirited kind of way. A lot like Cyborg. In fact, she's a lot like Cyborg. She's even the one who helped Brother Blood to design this weapon in the first place. And it turns out she's a good guy. She's a double agent who's been infiltrating the Hive for way longer than the Titans have even known about it. At least in its current form, with Brother Blood as the leader. So now Cyborg is faced with the reality that not only is he unable to pursue the aspect of this very personal mission that he wants to pursue, but he isn't even the only person ever to infiltrate Brother Blood's ranks. He's not the most successful at it, and he's not even the only person who can shut down the device. He's superfluous on a mission which was supposed to be his, which is supposed to be personal to him. He was supposed to be the linchpin this time around. And that wounds him. You can see he's put super off guard by all of this. All culminating in a very raw moment for him when he realizes that Bumblebee has his blueprints and has seen at least some of them. And he finally admits why this is getting to him so much, because those blueprints are him. And that's like stripping him down and looking at him naked, except somehow even more violating even than that. And it's such a good, such a meaningful, poignant character moment for Cyborg. He usually doesn't let himself get that vulnerable, and it was a really cool change to see. Of course, though, everything goes to shit at this point. Beast Boy and Aqualad are caught in the crushy chompy things from Galaxy Quest.
Why is it here? Because it's on the television show. Forget it!
And Raven, Starfire, and Robin are caught in the control room of the facility as it floods with water, which, of course, just means that Raven's going to teleport them out of the room. Obviously. Oh, no, they're going to do something way more complicated and convoluted that could very easily fail. Okay, that works too, I guess. But they get out, they're able to shut off the chompy, crushy things.
Whoever wrote this episode should die!
Beast Boy and Aqualad are able to get through and disable the force field around the sonic device, but not before Brother Blood appears to Cyborg in the room with the device to confront him. Because what do you know? It's personal to him too, it would seem. And using his incredible skills and all of his powers and his full knowledge of Cyborg's technical specifications, he makes a joke of Cyborg and even sets off the device, sending a tsunami towards the city, threatening to destroy it before Cyborg is even able to do anything. It is only because Brother Blood didn't at this point know that Bumblebee was a double agent that he was thwarted. And the only reason he didn't at this exact point in time was because Cyborg had an emotional moment and cut her off from him, trapping her further back, delaying her getting here. Otherwise, she would have been in the room with Cyborg when all of this was happening. Brother Blood would have come in, seen her being a traitor, blindsided her, taken her out of the fight immediately, and then done all the same horrible stuff to Cyborg that he did. In the end, Cyborg's over-emotionalness about all of this ended up saving the day in a lesser way than Bumblebee did, but still, the point stands. And even though for just a moment there it seems like there's going to be some renewed conflict between Cyborg and Bumblebee as they each order the other to do the opposite thing, Cyborg, in the end, once that moment is passed, realizes that this is his tech, he can interface with it faster, and so he lets Bumblebee have the fight with Brother Blood while he goes and disables the device, and somehow turns the tsunami off with another tsunami, which is, as far as I know, impossible, but whatever. The episode needs to end somehow, and they can't just wipe out the city. That'd be way too grimdark for a show like this. I don't know why they couldn't have just waited to set the tsunami off, like maybe put it on a timer or something. This was modeled after a Silver Age villain plot, after all, so that would have fit. But whatever, it's fine. I'll let it go. It's going to be hard, but I'll do it. For you guys. Now, with the mission completed, the base is collapsing in on itself as the device self-destructs. Blood, of course, escapes, because it's not the end of the season yet. They can't defeat him yet. And we get this baffling moment as all of the Titans are figuring out how they're going to get back to the surface. Beast Boy, of course, suggests that they ride in his mouth again, and Raven says,
I'd really rather just stay here and drown.
Raven, Rachel, sweetie, you can teleport! Just teleport yourself and all of your friends back to the tower. Like, I know riding in a whale mouth is funnier, but don't depower Raven. That's just, I find that rude personally. Anyway, the episode ends with Aqualad and Bumblebee deciding they're going to go after Blood, try to track him down, figure out where he's setting up his next base, since the city still needs the protection of the Titans. And even though they offer for Cyborg to come along, he turns it down, proving that he recognizes that the mission itself is bigger than his own personal feelings. And that's basically been the theme of this whole episode. All throughout the episode, Cyborg has grumbled about other people taking charge of this mission, other people taking responsibilities away from him during this mission. But when it came right down to it, every single time, he made the decision that was best for the greater good, for the mission at hand. And his responsibility is to the city itself. So again, in keeping with his characterization throughout this episode, he's going to make the choice to stick around and protect the city. Of course he is. Like, I wouldn't really say that this is a good episode for Cyborg's character development, because he doesn't really change throughout the episode, but it's a really good episode for shoring up his characterization. It's very consistent with his character, reminding us of his faults, and how at the end of the day, his faults don't end up really amounting to much, because he is a good enough and heroic enough person that he's going to make the right choice in a given situation, regardless of his feelings. For furthering the plot of the season, for introducing Bumblebee to us, and for all of that, I think that this is a really good episode. Like, one of the best of the entire series, probably. Like, in particular, I really like the larger, more complex mission that we got in this one, with different parts and different teams acting independently of each other. It really makes me wish that this show had gone with the Titans East thing that they try to set up at the end of this season, and Cyborg had stuck with Titans East, and we'd actually gotten sort of a multifaceted show. Maybe more regular Titans get brought in to the main team, like Thunder and Lightning maybe, or something. And we had gotten a show which focused on different smaller teams and had a lot more members on both of those teams overall, so they could team up for bigger, more complex missions like this one every once in a while. Like, I really love the Core 5, and I really like getting to follow their adventures, but something like that, something Justice League Unlimited, like, would have been really neat to see in this world. And I do think that the larger, more complex mission featured in this episode shows that something like that could have worked super well. As per usual, though, guys, I'd like to know, what do you think of the Teen Titans episode Wavelength? If you have seen it, let's get a discussion going in the comments section down below, or over on my Discord, link in the description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.